Howdy folks, good afternoon. How are we all doing? Here's a third video today. I'm over at the Minnesota Key Beach. I gotta say, of all the times that I've vacationed and visited Florida, I don't think I've actually been to this one. But regardless, you could say today that the water is rather angry, turbulent. Reason being is it's a bit of a windy day, actually. We basically have wind coming from the west going towards the east. And so wind oftentimes influences the wave activity of the Gulf. But yeah, definitely right now the salt spray is very strong too. For those of you who don't really know what salt spray is, it basically refers to the water vapor that comes from the water and it gets into the air. And actually, salt spray every now and then is a good thing, as it can basically spread the salt out of the water, so it helps control the salinity of the water. And some of these plants, such as that of the sea oats, for instance, that help make up the dunes, they're very tolerant of salt spray. Otherwise, really, there aren't many other plants that can really tolerate the salt spray. So like, for instance, when I did my video on the sand live oak earlier today, I covered that in my first video. They're a bit further inland because they're not very salt tolerant. So it's very reasonable to say that a lot of the plants that are nearby are very salt tolerant, because otherwise any other plants that are not, they basically wouldn't survive. But yeah, much as I would really love to swim in that water right now, the red tide is still quite present at the moment. And with that being said, the rip currents are also very strong too. For those of you who don't know what a rip current is, it basically describes a type of current where the water is being pulled in perpendicular to basically the coastline. So the water is essentially pulled back out towards the sea. And thus, if you're caught in one, it'll usually pull you out. However though, if you are caught in a rip current, you do not want to resist the current, because basically you could get exhausted very quickly. The water always prevails, and so usually if there is a rip current, you usually want to let it pull you out, and then it eventually dissipate as you get into a little bit of the offshore, and then yeah, basically then you can swim slightly parallel to the coastline, and you can slowly make your way back. So that is just a little piece of advice if you're ever caught in a rip current. I have been caught in one before, but it actually wasn't as strong as some other ones that I have seen. And usually, a way to tell if there is a rip current nearby, you'll notice that, like in this particular section, you won't really see it, but usually with a rip current, there isn't as much whitewash as you're seeing with the waves. So, and usually you can see it better aerially. So like from up in the air. Yeah. And definitely right now, it's a little bit of high tide at the moment, because you can definitely see how far up the water is going along the coastline, or I should say like the backwash. Backwash basically describes when the water washes through the beach and it makes its way back into the water. So in a sense, there actually is quite a bit of science going on too, or math, as we're basically seeing the anatomy of what makes up a wave. You know, like when we see that wave right there peaking, that's your crest. And then usually behind the crest, the opposite end, that's where you see your trough, which makes the bottom of a wave. That's why typically with math functions such as sine, S-I-N-E, you usually see it in this particular shape. So in a sense, you actually could apply a sine equation to these waves that are out here. I know for some of you this may sound a little confusing, but that helps explain the math that falls behind waves. So it's actually really cool, as a matter of fact. And some of you may have heard the term amplitude, and that basically refers to the length of the entire wave, which includes both the crest and the trough of a wave. I know there's quite a bit of terminology, but that's just part of it. Yeah, since red tide is here and it is slightly risky to get in this water, I'm not going to go in it today. But it's still excellent though to just take the time to observe, right? It's alright, you guys. Hope you enjoyed this video and learned a little bit of wave terminology. It's my kind of thing. And yeah, like there could even be a whole surfing lingo that you can start right now, because this is like surfing waves. It's actually really cool to see the Gulf like this, as it really doesn't happen too often. It's alright, you guys. Hope you enjoy your Wednesday. Once again, Journey on a Journey is outwards. Take care, folks. I'll just provide you guys one last little view of the Gulf. Alright. Take care, you guys. Peace out.